gonna do it again. So once again, we're gonna open up Maya 2020. I just saw the Maya website, Autodesk website put a new tutorials for 2021. I don't know, it's already out. I'm not sure, but this semester we're gonna use 2020. That's it. So this is the program, and I'm gonna move this. Any questions before we move on for today? Okay, so hopefully I'm gonna do this about an hour, and then on Friday we really gonna execute the fire hydrant cap. So first, just a little bit of a quick review. These are Maya interface, and now on the workspace by default is Maya Classics. Most likely we will use between Maya Classics and modeling. So modeling expert, here we go. That's mostly that we're gonna use. And you have a main command menu here, and this is called status line. Status line is just contain some shortcut that based upon this menu. So, and right now on the status line, we are on modeling module. If you click drop down menu, you will see a bunch of this because it's so many command inside this application. Now, we will most likely use modeling and rendering module. So if I switch to rendering module, if you notice this, if I keep switching, there we go. Can you see from file command to window always stay the same, doesn't change at all. Oh, by the way, guys, at the moment you can just watch. You don't have to follow along because you might get lost, and you will follow along if I said so. Okay, so just watching for now, and once again the video will be available after class on D2L also. And so basically, because file menu, edit menu, create menu, selection, modify, display, and window, they always stay the same because they are essential command that need to be used on different module. So raking, those are files still to be used, and then the rest of them are change corresponds to the module. You see that? And the green color is just a new update. You can turn them off too. However, under help, this is a really good menu for every single one of us. You can choose for finding menu, Autodesk Maya help, a minute startup movie. These will help if I click. Basically, it helps you to review about navigation and things like that. Can you see right here? And I encourage you to look this up too. Okay, so here we go. And then shelf. What it does for shelf, it's once again contain the shortcut of all of these menu, or not all of it, some of these menu that are essential or common use for each technique, like surface technique, polygon technique, sculpting technique. Maya can do sculpting that. Do you guys, how many of you know the ZBrush? Good. So basically there's quite a few functions that exactly identical to ZBrush. However, it doesn't work well as ZBrush because ZBrush using a pixel base, that combination of the pixel screen with OpenGL, but Maya doesn't use that. Maya use only OpenGL with Wireframe. So the way it works is a little bit different. And then you have raking, animation, and so on. Also, you have rendering. These are some shortcuts that correspond to under create menu or under window menu of rendering editor. Okay. And then you have a viewport. This is allow you to view object and modify the object. Now, each viewport has its own command. So, view, shading, lighting, show, rendering. So these are represent the appearing of the viewport, whatever is shown there. So now, for example, if I create, under create menu, I'm going to switch to modeling. See, the create menu still stay the same. And then we're going to work on Polygon. So this is the menu that you will use often. And these are preset or primitive object, because some of the primitive object is hard to build from scratch, like helix. Can you see? This is going to be hard to try to build this from box or from something else. Okay, I'm going to delete that. And so on the left side, let me create a sphere so that we can see. On the left side, this is a toolbox, and toolbox has two sections. Yes.
How to pull up that menu of all the
Sorry guys. So to pull up any menu here, can you see there's a detach icon, like those double dashed line is allow you to detach the menu, and then you can just grab it and moving around.
Okay.
You can close it. It's always going to be there. Now, if I detach this and move this, hold on. It's a OpenGL problem. Here we go. So if I move this out and I go to window, it's going to show again there. It's always there. Okay. Now, when you look at a triangle, it's indicate there's a sub menu. Any triangle. What about the square box? Square box is the option of that command. So, for example, you get option. Let's see if I click here a general editor. Let's do a create, and I'm gonna tear that off. There we go. And then I can go to Polygon, tear it off. So now when you see the squares, mean if you click on the square, you get an option before create it. Now most of all the primitive Polygon primitive object, you can change this option after you create it. So like for example, if I do this, change the division axis to have a 4. My num lock is not on, 4 and 4. When I click create, it's inside there. You have to move it out. So I'm gonna, under shading, I can turn on wireframe on shade. That will create a wireframe on top of the geometry, on the smooth. If you switch to wireframe, this is what you see. Shading, smooth and shade all. And with the wireframe is on, you will see the wireframe on top of the shade. If I turn it off, it will be off. Now, when you do a modeling for this class, you often need this wireframe on shade to be on, so that we can see the edge look, what we select, and how many polygons we have. Okay, so now I'm gonna open this up and I'm gonna reset it because it stayed the same. I can reset. If I click create again, now I got that. Now, these two objects we created into a different, create twice, and each object has input. Let's talking about the anatomy of the polygonal. So before we do that, can you see the second section of the toolbox? The top part is standards, move, rotate, and scale. You can also using a pen selection tool and lasso selection tool. This is selection only. Now, this is really important. Can you see when I hover my cursor over it, you see the Q. Q is a shortcut. So now, let's try this. If I press Q, it switch to selection tool. If I press W, switch to move. E, switch to rotate. R, switch to scale. So you often will need to use this shortcut, Q, W, E, R. Now, there's a T. T is, it's called manipulator tool. T, sorry, I forgot the word. Manipulator 2. So can you see T? Now, what it does though, is basically access the input. Can you see that's the input? If I highlight it, that's the input. That's a manipulator. Now there's a Y option. Y option, we will talk about that later. Y option is repeating command. The reason that I bring this up because if you read the manual of the Maya introduction, you will come across the word QWERTY. So it means QWERTY. QWERTY. So that's what it does. Q selection, W move, R rotate, E scale, T manipulator. Now Y, I'm not pressing it yet. Repeat the command. We don't have any command yet, so it does nothing if I click on it. So that's what it does. Now, why do we need the selection tool though? Because when you are on vertex, if I right click, or face, or edge, if you use move tool, sometimes you move the component by accident. If you wanted to, for example, to add selection, I can hold shift select. Now, can you see right here? It's a little harder to select. Plus, shift in Maya is add a second function, which is extrude function. And that might cause you a unintentional create extrude on the component that's not supposed to be there. And that might cause a edge with zero space, or some people call a punker surface. We will explain about that. So when you try to select the component, always better idea to switch to Q. And to add selection, you just hold shift. Now the shift function when you select it is also also create a toggle. So it means you can switch toggle between selection and deselect. Can you see? Now to deselect only, you hold control key to deselect. Now if I select, hold shift and select the component like this, if you wanted to add more selection, can you watch this for if I hold shift and drag, it subtract the existing selection because of the shift function is also it should consider also as a toggle select. So now how can we do that? To select all of this together, you need to add control shift together, and then it will contain or maintain the previous selection. So control shift. Also, when you select the edge loop, you can hold shift, double click. Can you see? Or just double click. There you go. And I can do shift and then skip. Can you see I can skip right here? Double click, it will select only in between. Shift, once again, I'm gonna deselect. If I hold shift, I click the first edge first, hold shift, double click, I select in between. If you want to select the whole roll, you can double click on it. If you wanted to skip, you hold shift, click like this. Now, it's also work with face. If I double click the face right here, it select the entire selection. The reason is because it's the element selection. Now, if you wanted to select only a roll or the edge loop that along with this face, you can hold shift and double click the next face in the direction you want it. So it's select like this. Let me deselect. If I select the top, I'll select like this. And now, let me undo. And now, let's take a look at this. With the triangle, the loop will stop. Now you will come across this a lot when you started to do more complex modeling, because when you get a n-gon or triangle, the loop will not go all the way. It will stop somewhere. And we need to check the loop all the time. So, okay. So now, the polygon anatomy, you can see we have face, vertex, and then we have edge. That's the main modeling component. Now, if I right-click again, you also have vertex face. Let's click on that. And why do we need this vertex face? One of the things that we need to use this is to check if you have a Parker element, or we can call edge with zero space. So what it does though, okay, let me do this. I'm gonna shift right mouse click to extrude temporary, and then I'm gonna deselect it. Okay. So now if I right click and choose edge with face, right now, can you see? It allows you to check, see if double element on top of each other or not. So when you see the color like this, because we haven't moved anything yet, so, and this will help you to identify the problem. So let me try another one. Let me try again. And don't worry about what I'm doing. I just want to show you the problem. So now, this is really common mistake. You do like, for example, okay, I'm going to select this extrude. I extrude it, and then somehow you talk or accidentally select something else, and then you forgot. Right? So you come back and you try to extrude again. Here we go. And then you move. Okay. So now, if I right click and choose vertex face, this is the problem. Can you see that? That line. Switch again. Because of you did the first extrude without moving it, same thing as this. And this is going to be a big problem. So I'm going to go back to the object mode. I'm going to press 3. Here we go. At this moment, it's not much geometry that has been modified on this surface, so you don't see any much. There will be a time that you will see this is creasing inside, or you are unable to split the surface, and so on. It's just because of, this is called edge with zero space. And how can we fix this? If it's not too complex yet, you may be able to fix it. If it's such a complex, you will not be able to do that. The problem, when you can't do it, you will have to delete this face, try to delete that face. This is not just only edge. That line is the face, like this face, right? But then if you look at on this way, that's become line. So because that face are just folded into one single plane. So now, the first thing when you see this, you can fix it by using automate polygon cleanup. How do you can find it? If you hold shift right mouse click, you can find it right here. And these are marking menu. The marking menus actually correspond to mesh and edit mesh. Now mesh tool doesn't, some of them are on the marking menu, but mesh display are not really on that marking menu. So you will have to use this in order to reverse surface and things like that. Reverse normal, when we talk about reversing, is normal. So now to clean this up, two-way, shift right mouse click, make sure you be on object mode and use cleanup, or you go to mesh cleanup. And we're going to have to open up option, square box. And edge with zero space is under right here. Remove geometry, edge with zero length is the zero space. So now when I click, let's take a look at it again. That line, see if we can remove them. Here we go. When I turn it on, click apply, clean up, and it said result, deselect, let's go it. Now it's gone. Now, in this situation, you get lucky though, because it's not complex yet. I'm gonna undo. I'm gonna leave it there. Now there's another technique that if you cannot delete that, you need to delete manually. So for example, I select one face, shift double click, and then I can hit delete the face, double click this element, delete it. Now, right here, if I right mouse click and choose vertex face, that face still there. How can we remove this though? So first, you go to face, and you need to do this. I'm gonna select, reach and drag like this. I'm gonna switch to 4. 4 is wireframe mode, right here. Right there. And I'm gonna subtract. See, I'm gonna try to subtract all the faces that are not on that edge. And can you see? There's a selection there, and you hit delete. There we go. So now I have to go do all 6 times, because there are 6 face with edge with 0 length there. So now I can do like this. Select all, subtract. Basically, I subtract the normal face. There we go. Then I'm gonna switch to 4 again. 4 is a wireframe mode. Now can you see? Now I can delete it. And now, when you do that, how can we get this face back? You have another tool called a edit mesh, under mesh, mesh to append to polygon. You need to be on object mode first. And what it does is allow you to connect. Can you see when I first click, these are open edge. To close up the open edge, now the arrow key is the direction of how it should travel. So it means I can select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I close it up. Oops. Now, after I done that, this is called end gone, guys. This is called end gone because if you count, it's more than 4 corners. See, this one, if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it needs to split to close this up. To split it, you have edit mesh and polygon under mesh tool. It's changed multi-cut tool, and then you can cut by clicking on the existing edge and drag until stop at the corner. Click, stop, and press enter to execute it. I'm gonna undo this again because with append to polygon tool, you can do like this. When you click, you look for 2 edges. So first, second, and then you press enter. Now, this is the time that we just execute one command. You can choose the shortcut Y. Y is repeat the tool. So can you see when you press Y, it brings up the append to polygon. And then you can append it. Click on one edge and then click the opposite that still travel in the same direction. It will close that edge. That's how you fill back the hole. Okay. So now I'm gonna turn off wireframe on shade quick. Now can you see there's something going on there? Look at these faces, 3 faces. And all 3 that we created or we modified is turned as a facet looking. There's a reason on that. So if I select the object under display polygon menu, I'm gonna turn on normal, face normal right here. And now the face normal is indicate the direction of the normal. So they must go into the same direction. Now I'm going to switch one more. I'm going to change to Vertex Normal. Now the Vertex Normal, this is what we need to take a look at. Let me make a little bit shorter. Under display, Polygon, normal size, right there. Let me reduce it to 0.2, a little shorter. So now, can you see any section that normal on the vertex are point into the one direction, you will get smooth surface like this. Now let's take a look at this one. This one, if I zoom in really close, can you see the normal of vertex are split? So it's indicate that these thresholds are different angle. That's why you can see the different smooth or different smooth ID on each face. So how do we fix this? It's really easy. You could select those two edges, or 4 edges, and then you go to Polygon, Mask Display, and then turn on Soften Edges. And then after I do that, why is not Soften Edges? Come on. Oh, hey guys, I forgot. I still have, I can't solve because I still have edge with 0 length. Forgot about that. I didn't undo this completely. So let me clean that up quick. Mask cleanup. Here we go. Now it should, now see, it's become soft now because of there's a 2 soft command there. So now if I right click, there's no edge in between, not edge, face in between. So now I can do this again with this section. If I deselect, can you see it? I select there, here, here, here. And then I use Mask Display, Soften Edges. So that's the face normal and vertex normal and how you control the soften surface look. I gotta turn it off. Under display, polygon, and face normal, and then polygon, vertex normal. Here we go. So now let's take a look at this. Under input, you have an option to reduce or increase the resolution. So I'm gonna reduce this. You can type it in. Let's say 10. And then the height, how about 10? Here we go. And now when I do that, can you see it look facet, right? We can make this look smooth. So by just going to Mask Display and Soften Edge, and then now it looks kind of smooth because it's blending the vertex normal together so that it looks not too solid. So now another things that you need to know is the polygonal display on the viewport. So under the when you select the geometry, let me create a cube. Just cube. Once again, guys, don't need to do anything, just watch. This will help you later. So if I have this cube, let me Control D quick, duplicate. You don't need to worry about what I'm doing. So now, if I select this cube and then I press 3, the 3 is not a modification of the geometry. It allows you to see the preview of what could happen if you add smooth on this geometry. So now if I want to go back to the original, I press 1. So there will be a time that you accidentally press 3 instead of try to press 4 when you wanted to get into wireframe mode. So just remember, 3 is smooth display, not smooth object, smooth display. 1 is regular display. So now there's a step 2. When you press 2, it indicates that showing what would happen when you add smooth, which is the step number 3, and then the step number 1 still show. This is called proxy. So the proxy is, it's showing the transformation from the low polygon, low geometry to high geometry. So that's the proxy. So now, same as this sphere, if I press 3, looks completely smooth, even smoother than the original one. If I press 2, it looks like this. So there will be a time for troubleshooting that you have no way to get rid of. When you press 1, it will still show 2. That because you most likely extrude the surface, entire surface, without moving it. And then somehow you turn on Polygon 2 or 3 on one of the surface, which is a single object, 2 elements. So basically 2 surfaces in one object. So, and I'm going to bring it back to 1. Okay. So once again, the step keyboard 1, 2, 3. Those are just for display geometry, not the modify actual topology. Okay. So, and now there's another thing. Non-metaphor. This is the most common that could happen. Basically something like this. If you select the edge, and then I extrude it, and then now these are manipulator, and there's a switch. Right now is based on the normal of the component. If I switch this switch, it becomes a workspace. Workspace is based on these type part. So if I move like this, there we go. Can you see? This is called non-manifold. You're gonna have these problems quite a few times if you're not careful when you try to detach and attach the model. So now, what it does though? Let me go to display and show. Hey guys, we're still on the anatomy of the polygon, and then I'm gonna turn on face normal. Now, can you see? If I select this, face normal. Let me turn off the grid quick. This normal direction is correct, but on the back side is incorrect. It's the same direction, but it's the same plane, but one of them are faced the other way, the other one faced the other way. So this is called non-manifold, and non-manifold cause a lot of problems. Crash your animation, crash your Boolean, and much more. I can't even count what how much it's gonna cost the problem. How can you fix this though? Normally, you would not want any phase to be in between 2 phases like that. Normally, you will not ever need it. So the problem with this is if this has happened, you have to figure it out how to delete this. And sometimes when you delete it, it might detach these vertices. So it might. It depends on what is pulling on the left and right. This one is still clean, so at this point, I kind of finished fixing it just by deleting it. Okay. There might be a time that you want to do something like this. If you delete this phase, and then you extrude that, only edge, and I use a workspace, okay, just push it straight up. So now this side correct, this is also correct. Can you see? Because there's no flip phase. So now what I can do, if I double click on edge, look, and I can extrude the whole thing. I'm going to switch to workspace again so that it goes straight line. And now you extend this. And then you can fill this up. Go to object mode. Under mesh to append, and then you append. Just click on the left and the right. Once again, append. When you do append, you always look for full corner. Full corner is a complete loop. Now I'm going to press Y. Y is to repeat the two. And Y also commit execution and then reselect the last command. So now I can click like this. So this is how you add more, remove, and then fill the object bar. We're still on. Okay. So, and at this point, can you see this is the correct direction of geometry? Here we go. And let me take a look at my one more time. See if I think I'm still missing something. Lecture. Let me turn this on. And then the video will be here. Working, remove component, combine. Okay, now the combine, I'm gonna stop after combine, and then we come back on Boolean next section, and next section we will start to build a to build the cap together. Okay. Oh, we still need delete edge and vertex. Okay. So now what else? So now what if I want to do something like a box here? Let me change the shape a little bit. And don't worry about what I'm doing, okay? For now. Okay. So what if you have a complex geometry like this? Now you work so hard already. Let me move that away. And you feel like you want the other side to have exactly same shape. Like this side, exactly same shape as that. Well, you can build only one side and then mirror it. So now, what I can do is, if I duplicate this, move it away, and then I'm gonna rotate 180 degree here. Here we go. Can you see? Now, these two, I wanted to make them become one. So this is what you need to do to make them become one. First, you prepare how far on each you want. You can move them later. Like for example, I can, how about move this? I want that line to be, how about right here for now? I'm gonna leave a little space so that you can see it. Okay. So now I can combine these two together. So if I select two object, I go to mesh, combine. Here we go. Later on, we're going to use a lot of a marking menu. Okay. So now this is considered a single object. Can you see when I select single object? But there are two elements. In Maya, allow you to have multiple elements in one object, but it will cause some problem. Okay. It just let you do it. The reason is because Maya assume that you're gonna make them become a single element later on. So now, how can we make this a single element? And how can we tell, let me do this, if they are a single element? How about what if something like this? You can't tell at all if a single element or multiple element, right? So now what you can do is, if you right click to face, you double click on one face, Maya will select the entire element of that connection, which is its loop, by the way, when you do that. Now I select, this is another element. This is allow you to maybe split them apart for now. Okay. Now, how can we make this become element? You can actually merge a few merge component together. But to merge the component, if I merge, let's say if I merge vertex right there and here, I'm gonna have a little problem. Do you remember? Because of there will be a phase in between, and those phases will become non-manifold because it will be correct on one side but incorrect on the other side, like that. So that's, you cannot do that. It's gonna crash for some certain command, and you can't really, I mean, if you export to a game engine, you're gonna have a lot of error on it. So now what you need to do is, in order to make these become a single element, you have to make sure that no phase in between on the open edges. So basically you create an open edges that has no phase in between. So now I'm gonna double click and then I can move these closer, or you can wait until you merge them. Now, to merge them, there's a lot of time you can, a lot of command you can use. You can use merge vertices, merge edge, or bridging phase, or bridging edges. Now, the bridging will create a extra surface in between there, but merge will not create any extra space. So how can we merge this? Make sure that when you want it to merge the element, the object needs to be inside a single object. So to merge it, the simple way is you select a pair of vertices, okay, and under edit mesh you have merge. I'm gonna open up option. Threshold is mean within 0.01 unit it will merge. So if I click apply, here we go, those are within 0.01. Actually it's not. When you have only a single pair, basically Maya ignore this threshold. Just look for, as long as it's two vertices, merge it. But if I select multiple and click apply, can you see? Doesn't work. Multiple is mean two pair. The threshold become executed, become a command line that Maya need to look for, because Maya doesn't want you to unintentional merge all of them in one point. So now if I increase this to 1, click apply, now it's too far, so I'm gonna have to undo. So let's do, how about 0.1? 0.1 is too low, too small. How about 0.5? Here we go. So it means that's within 0.5 unit. And you can turn on a grid to use that as a reference also. So now I can undo. Now I can select all the loop, the inside, and then I click apply, and it's merged to the center. And then you can reform the geometry a little bit. Like for example, I can grab all the vertices, turn on scale 2. I just press a R key and then shrink it down. So now you merge this. So, and what we're gonna use this technique is we're gonna use when we build a body, because on the body if we build half of them, we do less work than build all of them at once. So that's it for today. And so give a little brief. Now, if you wanted to follow along, just look up this video and then just try it. And it takes a little practice, guys. If you practice more, you become better and better. It's not like something that you're born with. It's something that you train, that you're practicing. Okay, so any questions so far?